Yes, we are live now.
Okay. Thank you. Hi, and welcome to yet another edition of Dil Ki Baatein on the Life platform, where we discuss a series of different the questions that come in. We discuss various things that trouble us as seniors or that we need to address as we age before they trouble us. Intergenerational issues, relationship issues, issues on mental well-being, entertainment, all of the things that we need to as seniors start arranging for ourselves, which don't happen automatically, so many things. And that's why the questions that come here are often sensitive issues. But what I and I'm sure other people here admire about the people who write in is the struggle by seniors to get this stage of their life right instead of just by default, floating along. To keep some kind of grip on your mental well-being, your physical well-being, your emotional, social well-being. So that those are the kind of questions that come up here. Today's question is today is about it. On the face of it, it sounds like this to all children say, but it's a question from somebody who the theme is about um, grown children accusing their parents, the seniors, of favoritism. And this accusation can go back from childhood, can be about right from when we were small, you used to do this kind of thing, or in the current scenario. So Karthik N writes, Gauriji, I'm 77 and in good health. I travel to my two children and stay with them part of the year. They now have their own children. I'm very disturbed in the last few visits. My children have accused me many times of playing favorites, saying that from their childhood, I have favored my daughter over my son. This is just not true. They went on accusing their mother too, who passed away last year, who also could not understand what way she had favored one over the other. I have just dismissed their claims with a joke most of the time. But in recent days, they are both bringing this up in front of the grandchildren and hinting that I continue to do this discrimination with my grandchildren too. This is frankly angering me, but I know that I should face it and settle it once and for all. Any suggestions how to go about doing this? Maybe it is about inheritance, I don't know, he says. Should I give them a copy of my will so they can see that there is no unfairness or favoritism at all? This is Karthik N is asking this question. To start with, I will say, and we've had occasion to visit this sentence many times, which is no senior is obliged to show their will to their children to prove anything. No senior is obliged to. But but having said that, if somebody like in Karthik's case, if he thinks that maybe this is the one of the pivotal issues that the children are sort of bringing this up bar because the fear is about inheritance, and he thinks, and if he's comfortable with it, then he could give them copies of his will. But I still say that if he's doing it only from the pressure of this accusation of favoritism, then he doesn't need to show them the will so much as maybe if it's not just about money, maybe in a limited way encourage them to share with him maybe some specifics. Why are you try and understand? Why are you saying this? Dismissing it with a joke is the easiest thing, of course. When children are young, when all of us had children who were saying, from when they were so little, why did you let him do this? Why didn't you let her do that? All of this. And which was all very funny and sibling rivalry and cute and, irritating and all those things. But if now grown children are going on saying this, maybe it's something that he needs to look at without, we all have limited energies now as seniors, without getting drawn into some long, drawn out. He can't be their life coach, he can't be their counselor. But I would suggest maybe go out on a drive, go out on a meal, one on one, and say and be in your head, be willing to not counter every point with a counterpoint. Listen thoroughly. Ask for specifics. Ask for examples. Don't take notes if you want, and acknowledge that instead of just saying this is nonsense, I don't understand what you're saying. I never meant it that way. But see what they have to say, and I think be open to at least acknowledge. I think a lot of it will calm down if you say, "Oh, I didn't mean it this way. This is not how it was." Simple thing. We treat two children differently. It comes out to them as favoritism, but somehow sometimes you'll treat two siblings differently because they are very different personalities. So the way you'll deal with one may look much kinder to the other person, the other kid. One may you may have read that this is how I need to deal with this child and this is how with that child, and so it looks like there is no one rule for both, and then it's very easy to jump into favoritism, accusation. uh so first of all, if he feels safe to say this, that I think you'll be very different kids, and so we applied different rules, but it is not to do, nobody lost out on it, and it was a tailor made to your personality. Some of the choices we made, some of the things we allowed you to do or didn't allow you to do, or encouraged you to do or didn't encourage you to do. This is one line that he can talk about. But first, I'm saying, instead of just dismissing it out of the fear that, my God, who's going to open that can of worms now? It's still, you have to accept it's still dynamic in their heads. Whether it's legitimately so or not, we don't know. Why I'm using the word legitimately is, sometimes if a person is unhappy with certain things that are happening in their life, things are not going their way, it's very easy to just reach out into the past and say, this is why. So one thing is that, could be, I'm not saying his children are doing this, it could be that they are falsely focusing on what is wrong in their lives, mistakenly focusing on, because you didn't treat me properly when I was growing up. You gave that one a better deal than you gave me. This could be one of the reasons. Uh, and, you know, uh, even reward and punishment as you grow, I mean, as you bring up children, what the kind and quantum of reward as well as kind and quantum of punishment also becomes tailor made. They're saying, in this case, they're saying the girl was treated better than the boy. So it could be, it just could be that, he's, this is a girl, and there's the gender difference itself, in which your approach to reward and punishment may be a little different between the two children. But is this something that should cast such long shadows, is what both parties need to examine. They're obviously casting long shadows because it's coming up again and again. This thing that now you are even playing favorites with our children has to be, he has to get to the bottom of it and say, give me examples. Since he's not understood, he says his wife who's now passed away, didn't get it, didn't get what is it that they are talking. So maybe it's time that they get their little uninterrupted space to say what they're trying to say. What, in what way? Instead of just free floating accusation. He's right to be, what does he say? He says, I'm now getting, he used the word, it's now angering me. He says, it is now angering me. That's because it's coming in a form that they are, which is unexplored. It's just a accusation. And his is just a rejection of the dismissal of the accusation. And though it may seem tedious to do just now for him, it's important that I don't think showing them the will is really the only issue. There is obviously some emotional issues, some connecting of, in my life, I didn't get my due from you, but my brother got his due, or my sister got her due. Would it all be silenced by them seeing a fair will? I I don't think so. I don't think so. Otherwise, and if that's the only fear, then okay, he'll show the will and everything will go quiet. I doubt it, because then why would they be saying you are um, playing favorites amongst the grandchildren too? So obviously there's something, some invisible thing that Karthik himself cannot see, but they are seeing and have grown with it, and it's not going away. When you keep on at a senior person, a senior citizen, a parent figure about something, it's obviously unprocessed emotions, where you can't even say, Janindo, yeah, now he's old and let me not. No, it is dynamic and bugging both his children, enough for them to keep at it. It also puts him in a very false position, which is very understandable. He's going and staying with them. You're staying under somebody's roof, and there's all this resentment and unfinished business. So I think it's important to not have this has to be done at peacetime, not wartime. Not in the middle of an accusation. Okay, come on, sit down, let's hear. Abhi iska ye karenge. Let's get to the bottom of it. Not in that mode. And not maybe ultimately between the two siblings sitting, but first one on one between the parent and the sibling, and see who has a point. There may be really some factors which he has never even thought of. He's never thought of them. So, for example, younger children, the more obviously disruptive or naughty one is pulled up more often. And often that naughty and disruptive one will say, you always catch me, but you don't see how quietly she's doing some stuff. Because she's, got her nose in her books, but she's also up to no good in some ways. You never see it. Suppose, as simple as that. But hear it out. Hear it out. And I think it's important not to, he calls it just, dismiss their claims. He says with a joke. Now the time is gone. It's very frustrating. Then this dance will go on. This dance will go on because nobody is offering themselves to really sit down and examine where this is all coming from. Um, when so addressing favoritism is tricky because we don't even it's not easy to identify. Is it you may be as a parent completely surprised, how is this favoritism? It was mango season, so I bought mangoes. But there was no season of nothing for you then. So, and you don't particularly like mangoes. Because small children don't remember that in whatever, Anjeer season you brought Anjeer for him and the other one didn't particularly like what you brought. They don't keep that. But now these are grown people. Now you'll have to expect them to come up with not just free floating resentment. Children have free floating resentment sometimes. You always, you never, which is all right coming from children, because they are creatures of the moment. But for grown people who keep bringing it up, at the risk of spoiling their relationship with their father, it keeps coming up. It's very important to know the contours and the boundaries of what it is. And so I would urge anyone in this position to um, uh, ask for specific examples. Also keep in mind, this is where he'll have to discern and not counter their points, but there can be some stuff that has come out of being treated differently by your parents, but there can be plain and simple sibling rivalry which has not been chavied by the parents. There is just existing sibling rivalry as grown people. As grown people, they are maybe not, a little is a possibility. That as grown people, there is rivalry, some amount of envy, jealousy, nothing to do with what that parent did or didn't do. These are two grown people envious of people. I'm thinking, and in that it may be they need to grow up and resolve this if that's the case. It's too hard for the parent to play, in the person in the witness box and the judge and the jury in this situation. But for him to sometimes maybe figure out also that these things are independent of me and your mother, you know, if you are have rivalry or some bitterness between the two of you, all of it is not to do with this. And I would say, pal, I will soon not be here. Then what you going to do with all this free floating resentment? Let's solve it now. And there, some of the real issues which have nothing to do with your upbringing and your father may come up, where they need to look at which of the things. This is where he says, this is not on me. This is not on me. I'm not saying for him to judge all allegations, but to have the internal discernment to see that some things are, as to grown people, there is some either competitiveness, even between their children, if they feel that the grandfather is playing out the same favorite game with even the grandchildren. This could also be a function of being quite insecure about your own child vis-a-vis your sibling's child and all those, that complicated laboratory of emotions. But I think in the spirit of, he needs to ask them in a spirit of, I want to know more. I keep hearing this. I thought it would go away. It's not going away. I want to know more. And I think, even with a clear definition, even if they give a definition, it's not definition. You ask for examples. And you don't have to give safai for each example. But I think two tracks have to be open. One is to dismantle some of the accusations and say, this was not meant like this. And I think you have taken the ball and run too far with this. And the other track is to say, I'm sorry, I didn't know it was coming across like this. And how do I remedy this now? Now we are all grown. I'm grown old, you are grown up. How do we remedy this? There may be some things which they feel right in the here and now you could change in your way you're dealing with me. A grown kid could have some suggestions. Simple thing like simple things like making slightly rude, overused jokes about one of your children, say, poor time management, suppose. You may not be in a position to, he may not be in a position to scold them or, lecture them, but maybe just fly away, run away jokes that you make. Or so and her India Standard Time, or some whatever joke you'll make about somebody's poor time management. Just take a look at and listen if they are saying. If your child says, I don't like these jokes you make about me, you never make it about my brother. I think this is not the juncture you can say because your brother is always on time and you are not. I think that time has gone. If these are grown children, that recognition that at 77, I can't impact or nudge or shame some of their behavior with jokes. But it may come across as favoritism, as being picked on versus the other sibling being let off lightly. So to reposition yourself as whether you want to make personal comments at all about things which are now part of their personality. Might be much better to talk and say, I'm watching you struggling with this is just an example. I'm watching you struggling with your time management. How could you want some help from me? How could I help you with this thing? Rather than it coming across as a ongoing joke or an ongoing criticism or, a sort of ongoing comparison, Unsaid it is, but look at how organized your sister is or your brother is or something like that. So the two red flags are, of course, this comparison, as well as the other thing, which is just being impervious to the pain of that grown person telling you play favorites. This comparison thing, when children are small, people use it sometimes as a device. See, your Didi is doing it so well. Why don't you do that? That itself. But as grown people, if this thing keeps coming, that you still do it, you may not be doing it so blatantly, and it may be so unconscious. And I think it's important for an an old person, senior person living in two different households to be careful and conscious, especially since the hackers are up here in this case. To not, you may with all what is it called, good intentions say, oh, why don't you do it this way? In your brother's house they have this arrangement, or they manage this. I think be careful to not do it, since things are so fraught on this count. Just don't do it. Karthik could well feel that how complicated is this? Why should I have to be so unnatural in my children's house? But the thing is that from this letter, it seems that things are already a little unnatural. You're having to be, you think you're being yourself, but they don't want you to be, they want you to modify something in that being myself part of it. And the quicker he addresses what it is that is getting under their skin so badly. But I'm again saying it's important not to be judge, jury, hangman, and being cross-examined also. It's not to be done in a court of law feel to it. It has to be that this thing saddens me. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I want to fix this to the best of my ability. And even if you recognize that, hey, some of this is got nothing to do with me. It's to do with your perception of yourself, your perception of your sibling, your little competition between your child and his child. It probably is not right now for him to say that, but for him to understand it, which of the things to take seriously and take on board and change, and which he can't do anything about. For his sort of two lists of, yes, this I need to change, and this they need to figure out for themselves. I think those are two areas to be, make almost a mental two compartments for him when he's talking. There's also, if you see rising tension between your two grown children, I think one has to also be courageous enough to ask yourself, again in peacetime, not when you're feeling so angered, if you may be feeding that flame in some way with your behavior. If you're feeding any kind of rising tension between two siblings, and you have to go inwards to find that is his homework, to find out that for example, there's I know a thing where one of the siblings feels, grown siblings feels, you'll do so much more together when you stay at her house. And the mother has had to say, yeah, because she takes interest in the things I'm interested. We happen to have the same interests. You don't, and which is fine. But they do from the outside look like a more happening mother-daughter pair than the other mother-daughter pair. It's a simple thing, like, whether it's some knitting or something where the other sibling has kind of dovetailed with that parent in the interest. It may be gardening, it may be philosophy, whatever it is. And to dismantle that also sometimes and say, not make it then, you show interest in gardening, then we'll do things together. Not that, not as a tool to get, and also not as a smart comeback. It's very important not to have smart comebacks in such a fraught situation. And for him to stay in neutral territory, however irritated and angered he is. Because then it's just three, irate people. the I was just looking at some of the notes, is that you can say, the notes I made when he sent the letter is that, while you may feel in your head, I'm too old to change, yeah, abhi jo hua wo hua. Don't say it, but if there is something that you have not seen, you have to be available to listen, it's very depressing. And what is it? Not depressing for a child, I mean, grown child, to get absolutely no, what is it called? Purchase, like grip on you. When you just say that this is this, come on, yeah, grow up, yeah. I think he's to be careful, however much he feels it, to not say this, but to definitely go into, uh, I want to hear, I want to listen to this, and also have the moral fiber. If you feel, wow, that was insensitive of me, suppose something comes up, to be able to say, yeah, yes, in the hurly burly of parenting, I think I may have been, it may have come down a little hard on you, to say it, and then to say, right now, how is this operating? Right now, how is it operating? And how can we uh, make it in your life and in mine less dynamic, less actively present now. If I'm actively continuing that tack, you tell me how it's affecting us now. I think he's well within his rights to ask for this. And which means it's not, the answer is to be not now. We have to set it up. Because in a way, we've all experienced it. It's so easy to almost have a favorite theory about one parent or your life when you were a child, and just keep trotting that out and keep throwing it at a parent. But what is inside that box? And let's unpack it, as the modern phrase is. Let's unpack this. Needs time, and both sides can give each other a little, you know, we take 3-4 days, and then let's go out on a picnic and let's sit and let's talk about this. But that person also then is not in a situation where just the irritation is coming gushing out, where all the illogic is also involved, just the emotional charge of the situation comes out instead of the specifics. And very important to hang on to, how is it dynamic now? How is it dynamic now? That he needs to understand, that they need to articulate equally. It can't just be nahi aise hai, you've always been like this. We have to be careful about going into this happy discomfort zone, the opposite of comfort zone, into a groove where you just keep saying one thing and sharpening your knives, and the parent keeps looking away and trying to blunt that knife and pretend it doesn't, it's not an issue. I suspect that if he presents himself, not show will and all this, presents himself with, chal, I want to hear what this is about, you know. Has to be, I think all of us have to be very careful with tones, of course, in such a scenario. It can't be, acha, once and for all, let's put this ghost to rest. It can't be that. You have to be able to have an ongoing conversation, yet you don't have to feel tired, and it can't all be, your whole stay can't be about that. If he's staying with one of them next, it will be like, on this day, couple of hours, let's give every day an hour or so to talk about ourselves and our past, and this elephant in the room that seems to be, not being addressed. Perhaps this is a thing where the children also feel that he's there to listen. He's there to listen. He wants to know. And I'll get a chance to say this, and not just tell me now and let's finish this over, get this over with, but an ongoing dialogue opened without fear. And the last thing, of course, is if it is so, it's going to snowball into something much bigger. If any of the involved party are willing to go to a counselor about it, to a third party about it. If the talks just don't take off, if the talks also scare both parties, you'll say, let's talk about it, but actually you got so entrenched in that discomfort zone that you don't actually want to air, you don't know where to start. All of those reasons, maybe why you may then involve a third party, and limited overs match. You tell a counselor, we want to come 5 times, or we want to come once, or we want to come twice while we are here. We just want to air this. So neither feel that now where to get involved lifelong with one counselor. People are afraid of being stuck with a counselor, you know. Yeah, so this is broadly what I would tell Karthik, is that the time to just mm, make jokes when you're actually quite angry inside, that is of no use to anybody. So you're dismissing and you're also getting very irritated. If you are making jokes, dismissing and being very halka pulka, there's at least one person in this equation is at ease. Is obviously not. So that is one thing. And this will thing, as I like to keep repeating, oh, you feel, yes, last time we had Mrs. Dave here who was saying, I've written what is where and I've shown it to my children. You feel free to do that, that's fine. But to end some naughty problem, some kitch kitch going on, le lo, mera will dekho abhi, I think is there is no need to do it. And it will not, I suspect it will not resolve the issue. You know, it will just dig out, bring up more stuff, which is, yeah, all just now it's all very well, but all our lives, what about that? That thing will still be there, that elephant in the room, I think. So this thing of showing the will is not a final shutter down you can do on an issue, I think. Okay, that's what I have to say. The you know bitterness and conflict, if there is brewing, if it's brewing, and some of it. One last thing, if you meaning in this case Karthik gets a sense that, oh my God, they are still looking for my approval. Suppose that is playing out, that these two siblings are still looking for my approval on things, then it's another conversation where you need to be mature and tell your children that you're doing well, you're fine. Why are you hung up on me saying Shabash Beti? Then there's another tough thing for him to look inside to see if he's always withheld his, like a lot of Indian parents do, just withheld your approval. Isko chadhane ka nahi, keep him on the ground. And in that effort of keeping our children real, whether it has built up in their heads as nothing would please my father, then you have to be willing to hear all of this when you jump into that conversation about what is this favoritism we are talking about. And it could well be that they're projecting onto their children. Your children are projecting onto their own small children, that now my father will do this thing with my children too. So before you get on to discussing how you're playing favorites with their children, this has to be, I think, addressed. Because I suspect that it's just a construct, because they're so convinced their father is being unfair that they feel, okay, next generation also you're going to behave like this with them. Important to address that. Okay, that's what I have to say today about this. Anything from you people? Any experiences, any suggestions for Karthik? Yes, Dipali, yeah, yes.
Does he have a home of his own? Or is he always with one child or the other?
No, he has said, no, he doesn't live with them. He said, stay with them, I stay with them part of the year. So
Part
he
of the
used to,
year. So
yeah, yeah,
perhaps while this, you know, it might be easier to have these conversations over phone calls rather than being in the thick of somebody's home
yeah,
from your own territory.
yeah.
Be in your own territory, maybe
Huh,
schedule
huh.
a video call with
Mm,
both children separately and
mm.
later together. But because he can also say that I'm terribly uncomfortable staying with either of you
Yeah,
until we have
dissolve.
sorted this out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I would, I do not want to end my life feeling I've been unfair to my children, or that
Mm.
you feel that
Correct,
I've been,
correct.
you have this perception. So
Yeah, yeah,
let's take a break from each other, but let's
yeah,
talk to each other when we are able to.
yeah. And
You
which
know,
would be one-on-one, and then maybe
yeah.
a
And then
family.
perhaps a Zoom call
Yeah,
or
yeah.
get together.
I wonder if, yeah, because if they are pulling in this thing of the grandchildren, and he really needs to know, we don't know, no, which things are coming across
Mm.
to them as,
Yeah, yeah,
it can't be all dismissed as only their projection. It could be was my only thing that he needs to look at that. But, you know, so we have another question, and we'll take it up later, which is grandparents feeling that we are being told what to say and what not to say to our grandchildren. A lot of scripting. And that is because I think there are some words which our generation uses so easily, which are a big no no with the next generation, with their children. So, for example, hate, the word hate. Eeks, I hate cats. Somebody I know said that she was really pulled up by her children, saying, don't say that to your grandchildren, don't teach them the word hate. And they're beginning to get more and more self-conscious that everything we say. So, there is that thing of, how am I coming across to my, you think you're just being yourself. In his case, what is coming across to his children as playing favorites, you know? Even just saying good boy, bad boy is a no-no for a lot of young parents now. Yeah.
yeah,
Or saying, don't be stupid. The phrase don't be stupid, which we use so casually. We'll say it affectionately also. If a friend says to us that, I'm feeling awkward, I've come at such an early hour, and hey, don't be stupid, we'll say, which is with affection. But it's a big no-no, that word. So maybe he needs to hear from them which things to the children are coming out like this. And it could be, as you said, Dipali, a session where everything is not sorted out in that session. This session can be from the safety kind of comfort of his own home, of
yes,
just downloading from them what is bugging, which things in the here and now are coming across as favoritism. And
see,
just listening.
yeah. Listening with a notebook and a pen is very useful
Yeah, yeah.
without interrupting. Hearing, let that child
Say it
say
all.
whatever, let
Yeah,
it all
yeah,
out,
yeah.
and without jumping to defend yourself, just keep noting down whatever you want to query.
Correct,
That
correct.
would probably make sense.
Yeah.
Secondly, with grandchildren,
Hmm.
given that grandchildren are of different ages,
Hmm.
the little ones are often cuter. So you interact with them differently.
Ah, Dipali.
Yeah, it happens. I mean, you have the
True.
gawky preteen and you have the cuddly little one. Obviously, it's good.
True.
Your
Yeah.
interactions will be different.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and it is, you cannot treat the 4-year-old or the 3-year-old the way you treat the 10-year-old. You
Correct.
cannot.
Yeah,
It is
yeah,
not humanly possible.
yeah.
You may love all of them equally, but your treatment will vary.
You'll come across
And
as much sweet, warmer, and
it's unreal to
forgiving. Yeah, correct, correct.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think the kids also deserve a few tight slaps. I'm sorry to say many of these
Oh my
people
God.
they're self-created
Meaning the grown
problems.
children.
One
The
tight
grown
slap wala.
children. Yeah, yeah. The grown
Yeah,
children.
I know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
grown children need the tight
Yeah,
slaps.
yeah, yeah.
Not
No,
the
this
little ones. The
this is
little ones
obviously
I
some
think are so
hurdle.
far innocent.
No, no, of course, yeah, yeah. No, this is something that some hurdle they're coming up, and
Again and again,
yeah,
yes.
yeah,
I
yeah,
see that it
yeah,
is a problem.
yeah.
And you know, I think it's also a lot to do with your own maturation and growth
Huh.
because yes, sibling rivalry as youngsters, it exists, it is undeniable.
Yeah,
The degree may vary, but
yeah,
when you grow up into your own life, then it shouldn't matter anymore.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
especially if the parent is staying with you separately and the other sibling is presumably in another city or
Somewhere else.
definitely in
Yeah.
another establishment,
Yes,
why
yes.
should it be bothering
Why
you?
should it keep coming up? Yeah, yeah. That's
You
what.
know, so
That's what. Yeah,
so
yeah.
these youngsters
That's why I think
have a
he's,
lot of
that's why he's casting
so
around for
distressed.
yeah,
Yes,
for saying चलो ये will बताऊं तो ये सब शांत हो जाएगा कि नहीं. He's just pulling solutions out of just nowhere because
yeah.
it's
Even with the will, it might be कि माँ की अंगूठी तो तुमने उसको दे दी, मुझे
yeah,
नहीं दी.
yeah,
It can
yeah. It can
or
come up
it can
little,
it
little
can
thing.
backfire.
Yeah,
It can
yeah,
actually backfire.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Correct,
when you're dead and gone, it will not bother you, na? Then
correct,
ठीक है,
correct, correct. And if he seems to think definitely think, because he's saying the will become like a this will shut them up kind of. So obviously it's a very fair distribution from what he thinks. So
Hmm.
let that be. Let it reveal itself when it's time to reveal itself. It doesn't.
Yes.
It doesn't have to. But it's a tricky. It's a bit of a tightrope walk
It's a
that I'm
very
suggesting.
slippery slope.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Well, no,
it
and
is.
where neither can he say ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं होता, and you guys, get your lives together and look into your own lives and don't look into the past. It's not that clear. And so offer yourself up to listen and listen to what you may have done wrong. But you also use your limited emotional, mental resources and physical resources, and how much. So there should be a start by end by date or day or hour or something that you offer yourself up for this discussion. It can't open an
Yes.
ongoing can of worms.
Oh, yes. And he should do it from his own house, at
Yeah,
his own
yeah. No, this
time,
is
at
a
his
this
own
is a
pace.
this is yeah, yeah.
He should retain the sanctity of his own territory.
Mm.
And you are in a position of strength in your own home,
Yeah, yeah,
definitely.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, whether he was fair or unfair, whether they played favorites or didn't play
Mm.
favorites,
Mm.
it is always an issue of perception. There
It-
may be an element of reality,
yeah,
and a lot of it is perception.
yeah, yeah.
So
And which I also think there has to be a judicious. I'm not saying about being manipulative, but a judicious use from his responses, where he can say, "I didn't realize it comes across like that. I'm sorry if that came across
yes,
like that."
yes,
That may
he
give a
must.
lot of sukoon, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, he must. For each
Yeah,
child, he must say that. I
yeah,
mean, to each child, he must say it at
yeah,
some
yeah, correct.
point.
Yeah,
Having heard them out, he must say, yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
to me, it was the need of the hour, but I'm
yeah,
sorry that it came across as whatever it did.
yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
yes, Sunita, yes. Sunita, you had your
I
hand up?
think the
Ah,
order of birth also, no? Yeah, the order of birth also makes a big difference, right?
of
The
course, of
older
course.
child usually gets the brunt of everything, and when it comes to the third child, they have it very easy.
Easy. And the
So, I
parents are
mean, we had
perfectionists
a
with their first
family we
child.
knew,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
where the older son used to get beaten by his father with a stick,
Mm.
and it was so bad. But the
Yeah.
younger fellow wouldn't get touched also, he was
Because the
always
parent also
pampered.
has matured as a parent.
Yes,
Mm.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
I mean, how does that older child deal with it then? No, he can be
yeah,
mature about it
yeah,
and try to
yeah,
understand what parenting is all about. No,
yeah,
otherwise he can
yeah.
carry it
Correct,
forever in his.
correct. And this is it, but carry it forever, and uh, now take it and apply it to your current life situation. that
Huh.
that one has to try and understand why this is making them feel, why it's dynamic. You're still doing it, you did it then, now you're doing it with my children too. He needs to
Hmm.
understand in what way. Or is it just them? As I said, one of the things is that things are not going too well for them, to just go back to your
Yeah.
past, say this, you know to for himself to understand that how much of it comes
Hmm.
from, and yet some of it takes courage for a child to tell a grown child to tell their parents, go back into the past and dig out one incident. It takes
Hmm.
courage to do it and to give that space also, without giving that hurt. I'm so hurt, you still remembering that I did it only for you. Have to just avoid this, safai kind of answers all the time,
Hmm.
however much you want to, because they may come up with an example which you feel is, this is so silly, you have completely misread it. But like Dipali saying, literally put that down in your notes, that, oh, that was seen as this, you know so I know, this is, it's childhood, growing up is a fraught thing. I know people who will say, both siblings grew up saying, you told me that, I don't look nice in purple, this, that, forgetting all the other stuff the mother said, these colors look lovely on you. Just remembering that, you got her that purple dress and said, purple looks nicer on her, and for you, forgetting that you said, I think bottle green looks nice for you, and I got your beautiful bottle. It is a thing to hang on to. And your ego is forming and you're very wafer thin. And children also then immediately feel, Acha, you're saying this looks nice on this, that means I look horrible in that. There's a lot of misunderstanding, but I suspect there's more to what's going on in these grown young people's heads than just this kind of chota mota daily skirmish. There will be more to it than this, you know. And
There
that's
must be
As
something,
Sunita
no?
says,
hmm,
the ordinal position, perhaps, the
lots, lots.
privileges that the
Yeah,
older one got,
yeah,
or the affection which the younger one was perceived to get. The
yes.
ordinal position makes a huge difference. It
Yeah, yeah.
does.
Even the quantum of time that parents had
Yeah.
for whichever child. Some parents just
Yes.
became less busy and less anxious about money as the third child or second child came along.
Yes. Yes.
So and it works both ways. So the eldest is like a quasi adult quite soon and feels quite included and part of this closest to the senior pair. And the youngest feels that you asked him about all the big decisions, this, that. It cuts many ways, cuts many ways. And I think one of the tools that he could use while talking is also to find ways to reiterate. If these young grown adults are chafing about certain things, is to himself make notes and repeat what he admires about them. If there is a lack of just
Yes.
that, some kind of what is it like? I like what you've become as an adult. I like this whole package that you are.
Positive strokes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. Where again, not a thing that we Indians are very good at, right? Of telling our grown children good things. I mean, it's okay, Mother's Day cards and Father's Day cards and all of that, but to really, really tell each other, not in the public space, not on social media, but just say, I really like how you are handling this thing or that thing.
To
So,
just actually just express, perhaps wordlessly, your happiness in being with that child, with that
yeah,
person
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah, yeah,
he or she has become.
yeah,
To
yeah.
find companionship with that person whom you brought up and brought into the world and
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. And for some reason, both are feeling, or one of them is feeling that you're just happier there, you're more comfortable there, whatever, all of that, to be able um, to send out reassurances without making it very artificial.
Obvious, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that I like being here, and you are a unique package, and you are a unique package. I wonder if that
yeah,
that also he needs to work in. So as I said, he or anybody in this situation has their own homework also to do on this. Instead of
yeah.
just doing battle or playing a verbal TT match with the children on this. It's not just a debate. Let's discuss and debate. It's not only in that realm. Oh,
So
okay.
I think,
Huh?
yeah,
Please don't.
uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
just, the feeling of respect for your
Huh?
child. That's what the child needs to perceive now. That
Uh,
my father respects me.
yeah. Yeah.
Love to take care, everybody loves their children,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Yeah.
also respects me.
Thinks well of me, thinks I've made
Yeah,
good decisions, that I'm making a good parent myself, all of that, all of that. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Because
That's
as
something
Indian
we find
parents,
it
we are
very
very quick to
difficult.
put our kids
Yeah,
down. I
What,
agree.
really.
Sunita?
No, it's very difficult to show that respect outwardly to our, as Indians, I feel, to our
Yeah,
children. Na?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And we treat them as kids right through, I feel.
Correct, correct, correct. Yeah, yeah, yeah. To be able to say
My youngest is
mm,
35, so I have to treat him with
as
respect.
a grown up. Yeah, that's,
Only because he's 35.
yeah,
No, since the time he was maybe 30. Yeah,
Yeah, actually,
definitely
30
is
is
it?
30 is the
very
Ah,
good
correct.
cutoff.
yeah,
Good
Yeah, I
cutoff.
think.
yeah, yeah. No, that is it. So to, instead of just this allegation that's hanging in the air in this family, to ease out a bit and find more warm, loving ways to be with your children. It can't just be this.
Yes.
It can't just be this. Yeah.
Yes.
So
He has to rework his relationship with his
yeah,
kids.
yeah. Homework hai. Usko homework hai.
He has a
Continuous
lot to
homework
do.
to do. Yeah, yeah. And not in a reactive mode. Not okay. तुम बताओ फिर मैं ये change करूँगा वो change. Himself reorienting his his thing. Just now he's in a state of complete not understanding. Like there isn't even, he really needs to be given examples by the children. He can't see any of it, you know. So he first of all needs to hear in what realm they are talking, where it is.
He needs to calm down, not be angry, and to listen with a paper and a pencil, or a pen
Yeah,
and a pencil, and to note
non-interrupted
down.
and
Not
non-interpretive
inter
listening and
Yeah,
non-interrupting,
yeah,
both.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And without firing defensive shots the minute he hears. It's not TT.
Yeah. No, no, it is not a TT match. No, correct. And they must feel this may be all very new to him. This is not how he has functioned with his children. But if he can
Yeah,
say that, I want this thing to be resolved. I really want it to be resolved. Not, I'm getting very hassled with this. Isko khatam karo. It's very important not to take that tack, you know.
yeah.
And the will showing goes into that tack, which is almost like yellow, you know.
Huh,
That is obviously they are talking in an emotional realm and not all of it in inheritance terms. So
How many children does he have?
Two,
two, I think
two
he
kids,
has
no?
two. Yeah, yeah,
Sounds like two.
a girl and a boy.
So what would be the what would the more favored one be thinking about all this, I wonder?
The
The
girl,
daughter, if it's the
he has
daughter.
just said, I have favored my daughter over my son. It is just not true. They went on accusing. See, their mother. So I don't think the daughter is very comfortable and happy. She also seems to have issues about favoring.
He feels the son was favored.
Might
Okay.
be, might be. He's not set it
Mhm.
right, but both, and also they
Mhm.
are both bringing up. See, he says, but in recent days, they are both bringing this out in front of the grandchildren and hinting that I continue this discrimination with them too.
Mhm.
I wonder what that is about. But yeah, it could be girl versus boy, all kinds of things like this.
Older
Uh,
sibling, younger sibling,
older sibling, younger
gender,
sibling, yeah.
privileges,
More polite,
freedom.
less polite, the naughtier
Yeah,
one,
yeah.
the less naughty one, all of those things,
Mhm.
So yeah. But
Mhm.
why it's a tightrope walk is with the grandchildren, I think we don't know if it's happening or these people are just projecting heavily and they're just, you know, they almost push back to their childhood when they see their father functioning with their children. They're just pushing them back to that time. So we don't know. But he needs to listen in a discerning way and be present for it, offer himself up for discussion. No?
Mhm.
Okay.
You should also stay away for a while. Stay
You're,
away
you're,
from both
you're
of
saying
them.
that, na? Yeah, yeah. He says this, that he says, I travel to my two children and stay with them. In the last few visits, he's been having a problem with them. So it's been building up. So he could
So
take a
he
break, but without just, it can't become like a sulk.
not sulking, to take, to introspect, to
Yeah.
talk to them, to
Yeah.
listen to them,
And the next
to
visit has to be after some airing of all of this. The
हाँ
next visit, isn't
grievances
it?
निकालने के
Yeah.
बाद ना
Yeah. Correct.
yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Mm, mm.
He could very easily go into a sulk and stay out
No,
of
no,
their lives, I think. No,
Which no,
it would
obviously
be
he doesn't
which
want
is
to do. Yeah.
pointless. Which is
Why? He'll
pointless.
lose so
very.
much. He'll
Yeah.
lose so much access to them, their children, all of that. All of that. So uh that his own biases and prejudices he must once examine, whatever they were,
Yes,
you know.
yes.
So for example, I know he's not spelled it out, but I know this girl boy thing where the girl feels the boy feels that the girl was protected and you send the car for her to college while you made me go by local train. And the girl feels not that she's very happy with it also. Girl feels like you kept me in this cloister, you didn't let me engage in life, he was allowed to.
Yeah.
So those things can also be, so your own biases, prejudices, fears, what have been brought out in your a different interaction with the two of them. Even money handling, it's I know it with my own two grandnieces, that I know that there is one of them understands money in the sense she'll know very easily what money will come back. If I send her down to the shops, how much will come back, she'll know. But she's a spendthrift. So if she'll if I say this much, buy this and buy yourself a couple of whatever chocolates. So she will use it to its maximum limit. The other one will not, but is a bit hazy about how much change will come back. So I will sometimes, I do make the mistake of saying, if both are going downstairs, I'm giving the money in the hands of the one who is comfortable knowing plus minus kitna aega, kitna jayega. And so in little things like this, because your reading of the child is that way. But one has to be careful about how it's coming across and what you're reiterating, what you're reinforcing. That, oh, she's good with money, you're silly with money. You have to be very careful what vibe you're giving out also.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, what is our next 4th June theme? I'll just read out the theme. It says, oh, it's a firecracker of a question. The theme is when old flames are reignited, leading to awkward situations in a senior marriage. It's I think also because of all this mad amounts of reunions and reconnecting and head girl and head boy from 1955 are meeting up. So that's our thing for tomorrow, for June 4th. That's our theme. When old flames are reignited, leading to awkward situations in a senior marriage. Yeah?
That sounds like fun, actually.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Huh?
I said, gosh, no old flames hovering anywhere. No idea where the old flames are. Not looking either. What to do?
Yeah, correct.
To do some stalking on
Not even
Facebook or
tempted to look.
something.
And
Yeah,
one
absolutely.
Buddha is enough to deal with. My Buddha.
और कहाँ से लाए? हाँ. What in Marathi is called vikatsa dukhna. Go out and buy some disease. Why? Sure. Shall we stop here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks for
Bye-bye.
attending.
Bye-bye.
Bye then.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah,
Bye.
bye. Rahul, we are
Bye. Bye.
off. Bye.
वो यहाँ बात भी करनी होती है ना, इसके लिए मैं इधर आ गई. पहले तो खाली सुनने के लिए तो I could have been there, but then last में we have a discussion. बाहर से लॉन्ड्री उतार के फिक्स हो. हमारे हो गया कॉल ठीक ठाक. You have another call? 3:30 वाला हो गया है. अब कौन सा? अब क्या है? ऐसे लॉन्ड्री उतार. चिटुकी पुटुकी
टंकी है पूरी
होती.
है एटीट्यूड है
Right.
Very species.
छोटी छोटी इन चुपी चुपी दादू हेलो